Hi, I'm Paisley. I never thought I'd be telling this story, but sometimes life throws you curveballs that make you question everything you thought you knew about people. 6 months ago, I gave birth to my beautiful daughter Ella after a complicated pregnancy and an even more complicated relationship with her father, Jared. You know you can always count on me, right? Jared had promised while holding my hand in the delivery room. Ella's going to have the best family support system ever. I know, I'd replied, still believing him despite our rocky relationship. Your family has been so supportive through everything. His sister Vanessa had been particularly involved, always offering to help with baby shopping and coming to appointments. In retrospect, her interest was excessive. Vanessa's been texting me again about the nursery colors. I told my best friend Maya over coffee when I was 7 months pregnant. That's the third time this week. Maya frowned, stirring her latte slowly. Don't you think she's a little too invested? Like, it's sweet, but sometimes it feels like she thinks she's the mom. She's just excited about being an aunt, I defended, though something in my stomach tightened. Besides, with Jared working those long shifts, it's nice having someone from his side who cares. If you say so, Maya shrugged. Just seems like she's always inserting herself into decisions that should be between you and Jared. What exactly are you implying? Nothing specific. Just be careful. Something about the way she talks about the baby feels possessive, not supportive. You've always been suspicious of Jared's family, I said, trying to laugh it off. Because they've always been too involved in your relationship, Maya countered. Remember when his mom tried to plan your entire baby shower without consulting you? That's different. She was just trying to help. Is it different, though? The whole family acts like they have some claim on you, and now the baby. I'm just saying, keep your eyes open. I dismissed Maya's concerns as overprotectiveness, but 2 weeks after Ella's birth, while I was recovering from an emergency C-section, everything changed. I was resting in my hospital room when Dr. Reynolds, my obstetrician, came in with an unusual expression. Paisley, I need to ask you something important, she said, her voice carefully controlled. Did you authorize anyone besides yourself or Jared to register Ella's birth certificate? No. Why would I? My heart started racing. Is something wrong? Dr. Reynolds sat at the edge of my bed. One of our nurses just caught someone trying to register your daughter's birth certificate, listing herself as the mother. What? Who would do that? I struggled to sit up despite the pain. It was Vanessa Mitchell. She claimed you had asked her to handle the paperwork while you rested, but she was filling it out with her name as the mother. Not yours. The room seemed to tilt as Maya's warnings echoed in my head. That can't be right, I whispered. There has to be a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, Paisley, Dr. Reynolds said gently. Nurse Garcia specifically asked her to confirm the information, and Vanessa explicitly stated she was the mother. When asked for ID, she became agitated and claimed she'd forgotten it in the car. Maya burst into the room, her face flushed. Paisley, did you hear what happened? I just ran into Jared arguing with Vanessa in the hallway. What were they saying? I asked, still trying to process everything. Vanessa was crying, telling Jared it was just a misunderstanding, but he looked furious. Then he saw me and just said, "You needed to know everything right now." The next 24 hours were a whirlwind of conversations and revelations. Jared came to my hospital room first, his face ashen. Paisley, I don't even know how to explain this, he began, pacing beside my bed. Vanessa's been... I didn't know she would go this far. Go this far with what exactly? I demanded. Why would your sister try to register my daughter as hers? Jared ran his hands through his hair. She's been trying to have a baby for 3 years. 2 miscarriages. When you got pregnant, I think something snapped. That doesn't explain committing fraud. My voice rose sharply. What else haven't you told me? She's been seeing a therapist, but lately she's been talking about Ella like... He trailed off. Like what, Jared? Like she was hers, he admitted. I thought it was just her way of being involved, being excited about being an aunt. I never thought... You never thought she'd try to steal my baby? I interrupted. The woman was filling out a birth certificate with her name on it. I should have said something sooner, Jared admitted, his voice breaking. Last week, she referred to herself as Mommy when she was talking to your stomach. I told her to stop, that it wasn't appropriate. And you didn't think to mention this to me? I asked incredulously. She promised it was just a slip of the tongue. She was crying, saying how much she wished she could have a baby. I felt sorry for her. He slumped into the chair beside my bed. I never thought she'd do something like this. I swear. The hospital security officer, Mr. Daniels, knocked and entered with a folder. Miss Taylor, we've gathered some information you should know, he said, his deep voice steady. We've reviewed the security footage from the past week. And, I prompted when he hesitated, Miss Mitchell has visited the nursery 6 times, each time telling different staff members different stories about her relationship to the baby. What kind of stories? Jared asked. Twice she said she was the mother. 3 times she claimed to be the baby's aunt with special visitation permission from you. Once she told a new nurse she was your surrogate. My surrogate? I gasped. That's insane. I've never... We know, Mr. Daniels nodded. We've already contacted Hospital Legal Affairs and they recommend filing a police report immediately. Later that afternoon, Detective Sandra Wilson arrived to take my statement. Has Vanessa Mitchell exhibited concerning behavior before this incident? She asked, notebook ready. Maya, who hadn't left my side, jumped in. Absolutely. She threw Paisley a baby shower but introduced herself to everyone as the co-mother and kept saying things like, our baby and when she comes home to us. I thought she meant their family collectively, I explained weakly. And did Mr. Mitchell know about his sister's behavior? Detective Wilson asked. I honestly don't know what Jared knew, I admitted. He's here all the time, but he works nights, so Vanessa would visit during the day when he wasn't around. A nurse knocked and entered. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone insisting on speaking with you, Miss Taylor. A Thomas Mitchell? That's Jared's father, I explained to the detective. Thomas entered, his normally friendly face grave. Paisley, I need you to understand something about Vanessa's condition. Condition? I interrupted. Having mental health struggles doesn't excuse trying to steal my child. Of course not, Thomas backpedaled. But she's not well. After her second miscarriage, the doctors told her she'll likely never carry a child to term. When you got pregnant, she decided my baby would be a good replacement. My voice was ice cold. She needs help, not jail, Thomas pleaded. She's my daughter. And Ella is my daughter, I shot back. Who Vanessa tried to legally claim as her own. Would you be so understanding if someone tried to steal your child? 3 days after being discharged from the hospital, I received a text from Vanessa asking to meet at a coffee shop to explain everything. Against Maya's advice, I agreed, but insisted that both Maya and Jared be present. Vanessa arrived looking nothing like her usual polished self. Her hair was unwashed, her eyes rimmed with red. Thank you for meeting me, she began, voice trembling. I know what I did was wrong. Wrong? I cut her off. You tried to legally steal my daughter. Wrong doesn't begin to cover it. I wasn't thinking clearly, she whispered. When I held Ella that first time, something inside me just broke. She looked so much like what I imagined my daughter would have looked like. So you decided she should be yours instead? Maya asked pointedly. It wasn't like that. Not at first, Vanessa insisted. I just wanted to be part of her life. Then I started having these dreams where she was mine, and they felt so real that sometimes when I woke up, I couldn't remember what was real and what wasn't. And filling out a birth certificate with your name on it, was that a dream too? Jared asked, his voice tight with anger. I don't know what happened, Vanessa sobbed. 1 minute I was helping with paperwork, and the next, I just wrote my name without thinking. When the nurse questioned me, I panicked. You didn't just write your name, I said, pulling out the security report. You told 6 different people 6 different stories about your relationship to my daughter over the course of a week. Paisley, please. She reached for my hand. I've been getting help since then. My therapist says with proper treatment. I yanked my hand away. I don't care what your therapist says. You tried to steal my child's identity before she was even a week old. You have to understand, Vanessa pleaded, looking to her brother. Jared, tell her how hard it's been for me, watching everyone else have what I can't. Don't bring me into this, Jared warned. What you did crossed every line. I'm sorry, Vanessa cried loudly, drawing glances from nearby tables. What more do you want from me? I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to return a call? I said coldly. What you did was calculated. You created multiple stories to access my newborn daughter. You attempted to fraudulently claim her as your own. That's not a mistake. That's a crime. You can't seriously be pressing charges. Vanessa's voice dropped to a desperate whisper. We're family. No, Vanessa, we're not family, I corrected her. And you've made absolutely sure of that. Suddenly, Vanessa's demeanor changed. The tears stopped as quickly as they'd started. You know Jared will never choose you over me, she hissed. I was there for him long before you were. If you do this, you'll regret it. I'll make sure Ella knows exactly what kind of vindictive person her mother is. Jared stood up so quickly his chair toppled backward. That's enough. Don't you dare threaten Paisley or talk about Ella ever again. Or what? Vanessa challenged, standing to face him. You think I'm the only one with secrets? Maybe Paisley should know about... Before she could finish, Vanessa lunged across the table, grabbing my phone where I'd been recording the conversation. In the struggle, she knocked me backward, my stitches searing with pain as I hit the floor. The district attorney is pursuing charges of attempted identity theft, assault, and harassment. Attorney Melissa Clark explained 6 weeks later in her office. The evidence is overwhelming, especially with the recording from the coffee shop and the hospital security footage. What kind of sentence are we looking at? I asked, bouncing Ella gently on my knee. Given her mental health evaluation and the fact that she actually assaulted you, we're looking at mandatory psychiatric treatment, probation, and a restraining order at minimum. The identity theft charges alone carry potential jail time. Has she tried contacting you again? Detective Wilson asked. Not directly, I sighed. But she's been telling everyone who will listen that I'm keeping a mother from her child. Some of Jared's relatives have been calling non-stop. That violates the temporary restraining order, Melissa frowned, making notes. We'll add that to the case. What if they try claiming she's mentally unfit to stand trial? I asked, voicing my deepest fear. Her father keeps insisting she needs treatment, not punishment. The psychiatric evaluation already addressed that, Melissa assured me. She understood exactly what she was doing when she tried to register Ella as her child. The evaluator noted she showed clear intent and knowledge that her actions were wrong. She just believed she wouldn't get caught. So she was calculating about the whole thing? Maya asked, sitting beside me. Unfortunately, yes. The report states she told the psychiatrist she'd been planning for her baby for months, including buying clothes and furniture. When asked specifically about Ella, she referred to her as my daughter, repeatedly, even after correction. The courtroom was tense 3 months later as the judge delivered his verdict. Vanessa sat stiffly beside her attorney, occasionally glancing back at her parents who looked years older than when I'd first met them. In the matter of the state versus Vanessa Mitchell, this court finds the defendant guilty on all counts, the judge announced. Given the psychiatric evaluation, I am sentencing the defendant to 18 months in a psychiatric facility, followed by 5 years probation. Additionally, a permanent restraining order will be issued, prohibiting any contact with Paisley Taylor and Ella Taylor. Outside the courthouse, Jared approached me hesitantly. Paisley, I know this doesn't fix anything, but I want you to know I'm filing for full custody of Ella, he said. Not to take her from you, to protect her from my family. I'm moving to Portland for that job offer. I want you and Ella to come with me. Jared, I can't just... Please, just hear me out, he interrupted. Separate apartments, co-parenting, whatever you want. I just need to know she's safe. And that means getting her away from Vanessa's influence, even from behind locked doors. A week later, Maya helped me pack up my apartment. So you're really doing this? Moving to Portland? She asked, carefully wrapping Ella's framed handprints. It's the best option for Ella. I explained. Vanessa will eventually get out, and her parents still think this whole thing was just a misunderstanding. At least in Portland, we have distance and legal protection. What about you and Jared? There is no me and Jared anymore. What happened with Vanessa showed me how little I actually knew about his family. We'll co-parent, but that's it. That evening, Vanessa's mother Barbara called one last time. Paisley, please, she begged. Vanessa's made progress. Her doctors say family reunification would help her recovery. Barbara, stop. Vanessa is not Ella's family. She tried to steal my daughter. She made a mistake. Haven't you ever made a mistake? Not one that involved identity theft and assault, I replied coldly. The restraining order is permanent. If you or anyone contacts me about this again, I'll file harassment charges. Goodbye, Barbara. 6 months later, Ella and I were settled in Portland. Jared lived 10 minutes away and had visitation 3 days a week. The protective order remained in place, monitored by both Portland and our hometown authorities. You know what, Ella Bean? I said to my now 1-year-old daughter as she giggled in her high chair. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting free. Maya visited often, and on one such weekend, she asked the question I'd been avoiding. Do you ever regret pressing charges, taking it all the way to court? I watched Ella stacking colorful blocks, her face scrunched in concentration. Not for a second. Some people think revenge is petty or unnecessary, but sometimes it's simply justice. Vanessa tried to steal more than just my daughter's identity. She tried to steal our future. Fighting back wasn't about hurting her. It was about protecting what's mine. And if she tries to contact you after treatment? Then she'll find out that a mother's memory is very, very long, I said with quiet determination. What would you have done if someone tried to steal your child's identity and claim them as their own? Would you have forgiven and forgotten,